What's up, everybody? We are back, and today we are going to talk about how to do the perfect, absolute pristine, the most beautiful 101 draft pick. So, all our drafts are coming up for everybody, and as you can see right here on the board, we are going to go on Fantasy Pros, my hometown basically, and we are going to draft a team. We're going to play PPR because that's my favorite league. We're going to do a snake draft and we're going to draft from the first position. That's what I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to show you how to build a team from the first position that is going to absolutely dominate in your fantasy leagues this year. We're going to have one quarterback, two running back, two wide receiver, which may be a little smaller than what most people are doing, but I want to try to keep it as even as possible. One tight end, one flex position, one defense, one kicker, six bench. So that's what we're going to do today for the draft. So how we're going to do that is very simple. We're going to get it started. We're going to scroll ourselves down. All the positions are normal. Start your draft. Let's let this. It's going to be a hell of a time. And with the first pick, it makes it very simple for us. We get to pick whatever we want to pick here. Do you want to go CMC? Do you want to go Jamar Chase? Do you want to go Justin Jefferson? What do you want to pick for your first pick to get things moving and grooving for your fantasy team? Now, for some reason, Fantasy Pros must take a long time, but since we are the first pick, let's get right into it. Jamar Chase is not an option for me as we look at this board. We have Justin Jefferson, we have Christian McCaffrey, we have Tyreek Hill, and we're going to go Justin Jefferson. The reason here is because he is on a team that's going to have to put up points because the Vikings defense is sneaky bad this year. They were not good last year and they had to be in shootouts all year long. It's going to happen again this year. Yes, they brought in Jordan Addison. There's TJ Hawkinson, but Kirk Cousins is no dummy. We've all watched quarterbacks. He knows that Justin Jefferson is him. He knows that Justin Jefferson is that man. So let's be real smart right here. We're going to draft Justin Jefferson. We're going to let this board start going. Now, we got a while. We have 21 picks, and we're watching the board go down. Watch it go through some players like A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Chubb, Jalen Waddle, Ramondre Stevenson, and we're back up. We have one wide receiver here. But we get the double pick, which is beautiful. Because for me, in the double pick, we get a chance to actually do something where we can load up real heavily on wide receivers, or we could go a couple of running backs and get a heavy T set up. But let's check this wide receiver tab real quick because we do have Justin Jefferson, but who would we like to put him with? So we got a Chris Olave, we got a Keenan Allen, we got a Devonta Smith, we got a T. Higgins. Let's look at the running back tab real quick, just because we're not going to look at every single pick that was made between us. But we got Josh Jacobs, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Travis Etienne. None of them are really screaming values to me yet. We got a Jalen Hurts here, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow dealing with an injury. Let's just double check the tight ends. And we have a Mark Andrews here. Now, that one could be interesting, because most likely I would like to go Chris Olave, Keenan Allen, two great wide receivers. Chris Olave being the wide receiver one on his team, but a very easy schedule playing the AFC South and the NFC South. Keenan Allen being a PPR machine for us, being on a really good offense, but he's getting up there in age. Now, here's the thing. Do I want to get the positional advantage of Mark Andrews? The only reason why I'll say no is because he is now surrounded by three different wide receivers that I think can get it done as well, which will pull the Mark Andrews value down just a slight bit. So we're going to go Chris Olave here. We're going to let that one roll in on the board. We obviously get the back-to-back here. It's trying to get us to go Devonta Smith, but I think I would rather go Keenan Allen here. So we're going to go Keenan Allen. For PPR, Keenan Allen is a stud. Yes, missed a lot of games last year, but I think the injury bug just caught that team. So we're watching the draft wizard go through all the picks. We're losing out on some quarterbacks here. We just saw Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow go, TJ Hawkinson went off the board, Drake London went off the board, and we are back up again. Now we do have three wide receivers. Let's click this roster tab. We have Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Keenan Allen in our flex. So we went very wide receiver heavy. We could keep building that way. We could put some running backs on the board. We could get a quarterback. Let's look through it all. We got a J.K. Dobbins and Alexander Madison, James Conner. We're hitting a range where I really kind of like the running backs. Cam Akers, even though most people call it the dead zone, I think the dead zone is dead this year, and we should be fine. Now, remember, two picks again. We could go Justin Fields. here and get ourselves a Konami quarterback. We could stack with Justin Herbert. We could have Trevor Lawrence. We could have Deshaun Watson. We're looking at some tight ends real quick. George Kittle is somebody that is just off my board completely with everybody back and healthy this year. Darren Waller couldn't break a single tackle last year. Not one. That's not even an exaggeration. Not even one. So he's not athletic in my eyes anymore. I think what we have to do here, I'm going to go earlier quarterback. And I'm going to skip over Justin Fields for a Justin Herbert that's healthy with a strong offensive coordinator who's aggressive and wants to push the ball down the field, and an organization that also wants to do that because they drafted Quentin Johnson. He'll have Mike Williams. He'll have Keenan Allen. He'll have Gerald Everett. He'll have Austin Eckler. And then what we want to do is we're going to want to look back at these running backs. We got a J.K. Dobbins and Alexander Madison. Now, I don't really like Madison because we already have Justin Jefferson. So that's a little scary. Not a huge fan of any of these wide receivers here with Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, Jerry Jeudy. Could possibly go. Ooh, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to go Jerry Jeudy. And the only reason why is because we have two Chargers, and Jerry Jeudy is a very talented wide receiver on his own right. He should be the wide receiver one for the Denver Broncos. We know he's got skill. We know he has athleticism. And we have a stack of the Chargers, like I just said, who is their Week 17 opponent, which in your championship, if it all works out, you'll have a bring back with Jerry Jeudy. Let's go Jerry Jeudy here. We're going to let the draft wizard do its thing. We are already in the fifth round. How amazing is a draft wizard? You have to mock to get better at these things. And if you're not mocking, if you're not practicing, you're just not doing it right. You need to research what you do because it's the only way to become an expert at something is to just go over things meticulously over and over and over again. So let's keep going. We're up here at the 6-12. We got people like Deontay Johnson, Marquise Brown, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson. Ooh, I might have to go really wide receiver heavy here because I like a lot of these wide receivers. But we got my boy James Conner and we got James Cook. And this is where it's going to make it hard. James Conner is a set and forget for me. Give me James Conner all day. He's got nobody else in that running back room with him. He's going to have a backup quarterback with him, which means they're going to hand the ball off to be safer all year long. Plus, here's the big kicker out of it all. They have a really weak defense. And what is that coach, that brand new rookie coach, going to do to hide that atrocious defense? Well, they're going to run ball all game. They're going to slow the clock down. We're going to get a lot of volume. And we know that James Conner last season was throwing up 20-something points a game without Kyler Murray. And there's no longer a Konami quarterback to steal from this running back. And nobody else in this room, you got to go for James Conner this year. This is a must-have player for me this season. Let's look at the roster real quick. We got Justin Herbert, James Conner, Justin Jefferson, Chris Olave, Keenan Allen, and Jerry Jeudy. So we got another room for another running back. We could go here. We could go another wide receiver. Let's look at the tight ends real quick. Here's what you want to start doing. We have our floor built out with the players I just named. So what we need to start doing is looking for some upside to win some weeks here. So there's two players I'm looking at. One being James Cook, the other being Deontay Johnson. Neither are coming back to me. But here's the thing. Deontay Johnson didn't score a single touchdown last year, but he still caught a ton of balls, and he still targeted a hell of a lot. And he's got a decent strength of schedule. But James Cook, from all accounts, looks like he is going to be taking over that backfield. So it's a tough battle. But here's the thing for me. That strength of schedule right down here, right there, that scares me. I like James Cook a lot, but at this point, I'm going to stack my wide receivers one more time, get a Deontay Johnson who's got a chance to get a ton of targets every game. He's going to have positive touchdown regression. And in week 17, he gets the Seattle Seahawks. So we're hoping for a nice little game in the championship week. We are pretty stacked on wide receivers right now as we let the mock wizard do its thing. And we're going to miss out on players like Jahan Dotson probably, but that's okay. I love Jahan Dotson. He's one of my best players, one of my favorite players. He has the upside that we were just saying that he can become an alpha elite wide receiver for his team. And oh my goodness, he's still there. All right, let's look at our team real quick because we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers here. But it's going to be very hard to pass up on Dotson, who has the ability to take over as the team's alpha. Whew. But we also, this is just falling the way we need. And here's the thing. I like Jahan Dotson a lot, but we need some running backs. Rashad Penny was somebody I really loved in the beginning of the year, but all the camp news that is coming out scares the hell out of me. And watching him as a hometown Eagles fan in the practices playing with the twos and then in the game playing with the twos and even the threes, that kind of scared me a little bit. So we'll skip right over him. He's not an option. But these two running backs right here, Zach Charbonnet and Jamal Williams, I like them. And we have a lot of wide receivers. So it's going to be hard. I might not need Dotson here, but we do need some running backs. So Zach Charbonnet, I like him a lot. One, he brings us a bring back to Deontay Johnson in week 17, so that's beautiful. Kenneth Walker is still dealing with a groin injury, and if you know anything about running backs, soft tissue injuries are the devil when it comes to them. So that's something I really like because Kenneth Walker is still really only running a straight line in practice. Zach Charbonnet is a talented three-down back that could do it all. I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to crack Zach Charbonnet as our second running back to give us Charbonnet and James Conner in our starting backfield. The question here is, do we want Jamal Williams? Do we want Jahan Dotson? Who's going to be a game changer for us? And that's the problem because I'm going to go Jahan Dotson. I'm going to skip over Jamal Williams as much as I love it because right now the Kendre Miller is dealing with an injury and Alvin Kamara has suspension. That's only 3 games for Kamara. He's going to come back eventually. Kendre Miller will get healthy eventually. I don't like that we only have like a 4-week rental with Jamal Williams, knowing he is the guy, even though all camp reports are positive. Let's go with Jahan Dotson here. We are building a wide receiver room that will just torture people. We just got to steal the draft. The experts just said that we drafted him in 97, Jahan Dotson, when he was 73 overall. So we found somebody falling. That's what you do. When you see the talent fall beneath the ADP, you got to take it. We're coming back. We're up at the 10.12 here. Now, we really don't need wide receivers, so we can skip over that tab a little bit right now. We're looking at tight ends. We're looking at running backs. We even already have a quarterback, but if you really wanted to go that route, you could. I'm not clicking on that tab. For me, there's only a couple of options here. Now we're getting in the backup running back land, and I don't hate it, but I do think there's somebody that can matter more for our fantasy team. And as much as Evan Ingram scares me a little bit this season, I think he's still going to be on a very good offense with a coach that likes to use his tight ends. And they were building 13 packaging. So what 13 personnel means is that there was 3 big guys on that field, 3 of the tight ends. That's oof, that is going to be a scary, scary setup because Evan Ingram gets treated as a wide receiver then, and it creates a lot of mismatches. And if they're going to run that, I'm going to run him to my fantasy team. So Evan Ingram's going to be the first pick. Now we're here at the experts gave us another one. We drafted him at pick 120. He's 97th overall. So we're getting a lot of steals. We're getting a lot of value for our ADP. We could come right back with another tight end and push everything else down the board a little bit. But let's check the tabs before we do that. Got some backup running backs here with Devin Singletary. We got Jalen Warren, Raheem Mostert, Tyler Algier. Not my favorite. We could check the wide receivers, maybe get to a 7th one. We got a Jacoby Myers, a Nico Collins. We got Alan Lazard. We got Rondell Moore. None of them are on great offenses. Alan Lazard might be, but he's more of a blocking guy for me. What I think I'm going to do here is just double tap the tight end. It's not something I usually do, but I will not come back to this position now because we will have Evan Ingram and we will have, I don't know, because we already have Deontay Johnson. That's a tough one. You know what? We're going to make the double tap here. We're going to make we're not going to double tap. I changed my mind. Changed my mind in the moment. This is what happens with drafting. And you got to stay fluid. You got to pay attention to your team here. We're going to, you know what? Scratch it all. We're double tapping. I'm going to let you see the double tap here with Pat Freiermuth. We now have 2 very good tight ends with Pat Freiermuth. We got a nice floor because they had 98 targets last season. Yes, he's paired off with Deontay Johnson on our team, so we're a little Pittsburgh Steeler heavy. Not my favorite feeling in the world, but it's something we could deal with. They're going to be a pretty decent team this year. They're not going to be too terrible. They'll have a decent offense, a decent defense. They'll be in games. They're going to get the targets, and that's the thing. We have 2 of the target monsters on that team. Yes, George Pickens could make the crazy catches, But efficiency-wise, Deontay Johnson, Pat Fryermuth have 2 touchdowns between them, so positive touchdown regression is coming, and they get a bunch of targets. I really like that for our team. So now, we're later in the draft, and we're looking at some things, and I, I don't mind reaching at this point in the draft. It's time for me to get some of my guys. Now, we only have 2 bench spots left, a defense and a kicker to draft. And I'm gonna do something that's gonna kinda blow your mind a little, depending on the tabs. Let's take a look. We could get a Daniel Jones, the backup Justin Herbert, just have a Konami code in behind them. You're never gonna start him, and that's the problem with that. I'm not a huge fan of that. So I want to lean in on another team. I'm gonna reach a little bit here. Not my problem. We're gonna go with Tank Bigsby. He's been having a lot of positive camp news. And I'm not a huge fan of Travis Etienne. Everybody thinks he's the pass catching back, but Trevor Lawrence has checked down to the running back at the lowest percentage last season, tied with Jalen Hurts. I don't want that. I want somebody who is going to get those valuable plays, and Trevor Lawrence doesn't provide it in the passing game. So give me the big boy, the big guy who they brought in. This organization, Doug Peterson brought in so that they can have the running back that they think fits their mold because they didn't bring Travis Etienne in. They didn't bring him Travis Etienne in. That was an Urban Meyer thing, and nobody really wants that. Nobody wants the stench of Urban Meyer. So we're gonna reach a little bit. We're gonna go tanky tank here. We're not looking at the tight end tab because well, we got 2 amazing ones. We don't need to. We could go at wide receiver with Darnell Mooney. We could go Michael Gallup. We can go KJ Osborne. There's a couple of people I like here. Even Donovan People Jones is here. But here's where I differ a little bit from people. And this is where it scares other people the most is that I am a huge fan, if they're here, of the 49ers defense because the beginning of their schedule is just phenomenal. But I believe somebody already drafted them because my goodness, they drafted them early. Okay. They drafted them early. We are not going to get the San Francisco 49ers defense. So scratch that theory. I was going to go early because San Francisco 49ers, little tip for everybody, has an amazing start of the schedule. And that's how you want to pick your defense. Sacks plus pressures equal turnovers. That team could do that. You look at that schedule, they could really do it against some of those very weak teams they're going to face. So now we're coming back here. I don't really like what's left with us here. Who do we want to aim for? I could get one of these running backs later, but we're gonna stick with our running back room, which consists of James Conner, Zach Charbonnet. We're gonna have Tank Bigsby. So we only have 3. Probably should add one more. And I'm not loving these options here with Deonta Foreman, Ezekiel Elliott. Not a huge fan of Deonta Foreman. Rashawn Johnson's in a little bit of a busy backfield with 3 of them. I think is absolute dust. And we're reaching here. Again, that's fine because all we have left to draft after this is defense and kicker, and that's whatever. But Gus Edwards is on a very good offense with Todd Monken coming in, Lamar Jackson running it. We know what he could do with the Baltimore Ravens. And J.K. Dobbins is coming off those big injuries and will need to be spelled. Even if he is the better back, they did pay Gus Edwards. They had him restructure so he could stay around. We're going to reach a little bit. We're going to get Gus Edwards. I know it's not the most popular, but I don't really care what people think for popular. We need perfect. And this is going to be the perfect lineup to help you win in 2023. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to have our pick of the defenses and kickers because we're coming around the bend and we're coming around the bend towards the end. We're in the 14th round. We flew through this draft today. But look, we got some great kickers here. We have Harrison Butker. We have Young Ho Koo, Jason Myers, Jason Sanders. And here's what you want to do with a kicker. You want them on a good offense. You need them to get across the 50. We're not aiming for extra points, obviously. That's not what we want to do. We're aiming for a nice team that can get third down conversions because third down conversions move the needle and allow you to get across the field. And I will take the number 1 strength of schedule on kickers with Harrison Butker tied to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and Andy Reid. Seems like a pretty easy deal. We'll just put that kicker right there on that lineup for us. And then we're going to make our last pick here with the defense. It's flipping the tab for us. And man, the Denver Broncos. That was not the reason why they lost last year. The Denver Broncos defense was pretty damn legit. And all it did this season let's stay about the same and still be pretty strong. Now, yes, there will be weeks where you have to face the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chargers, and you'll have them matched up against your quarterback. And this is where you'll play the waiver wire and do your thing. But I really like the Denver Broncos, especially because they start off against the Las Vegas Raiders. So we know what we're getting in week one. Let's get that Denver Broncos defense to finish off this perfect draft from the 101. Here's the board finishing off for us. We're letting them take their kickers, their defenses. Now, Fantasy Pros gave us a C. That's a consensus of 137 people. I really don't believe that they know what they're talking about here. And these are my coworkers, so I love you all. But yeah, I don't think you know what you're talking about. It's mostly Andrew Erickson who does not like me. Me and Derek Brown get along pretty well. Pizza P and Pat Fitzmaurice are iffy on it. But let's look at these projected standings before I let you guys go today. And just remember, like, comment, and share this page. I'm here to help you with your fantasy football questions. I want to help you win this year. You need to win these leagues. You need to be able to brag. You need to earn that little extra money around Christmas time. Let me help you. Now, we have one of the best benches. We have a decent quarterback room. Our running back room is the weakest, and that's not an argument by me because we didn't put a lot of effort into the running back room. But running backs get injured. You can pick them up on the waiver wire. We can make some trades with the wide receivers, which somehow is the third best in the room. Have an eighth best tight end room, which I think is incorrect. Strong kicker, decent defense. Our flex is strong. We're out here. I think we're going to be totally fine this season. We got a great team, I believe. Now, when it comes to drafting people, just remember ebb and flow with the draft. That's very important. If the wide receivers fall to you like they fell to us, take them. You will find running backs through the waiver wire. You can find quarterbacks, especially in one QBR leagues. You can find quarterbacks in the waiver wire. We might have gone a little too early with Justin Herbert. Maybe we go running back there and the team will be a little different. But I love our team. We had a strong quarterback in Justin Herbert. We had some picks with Justin Jefferson and Chris Olave. We had Evan Ingram. We had James Conner. We had a strong team. Let me know what you think of this team and what you would have done differently at the 101. But please go like, share, comment. Tell me everything you think about this draft.